Welcome to UNCAGED, the show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. Today, we're speaking with Dr. Nabil Alyousuf. Dr. Alyousuf, Nabil, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you, Brad.
It's great to have you on the program today. Nabil has an incredible background. He has over 20 years of experience in public sector development, human development, and community development. So it's no surprise, as the chairman of Nabil Alyousuf and Associates, as well as the CEO at International Advisory Group Public Policy, he is very, very involved in public policy and public affairs. And so we'll be talking to him about all of the things that those operations are doing. But before we get there, Nabil, tell us a little bit about yourself and your career.
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here with you. And I started, let's go back to my education. I went to school, the University of Arizona. I got my bachelor's in industrial engineering, and then I went to Georgia Tech, got my master's from Georgia Tech in operations research. Then I came back to Dubai and I worked for a bank, and the bank had me basically be in charge of a large textile mill. So at a young age, I was able to take a leadership position, and it taught me a lot about business. Mm-hmm. And particularly international business, because this particular textile company did not do business, although it was based in the UAE, did not do business in the UAE. It imported raw material from Asian countries and exported to the European, American, and Japanese market. So it kind of gave me a good opened my horizon in a sense and gave me a good sense of business. Then I got my MBA from the University of Strathclyde in Scotland, and I moved jobs and changed my career to focus more on strategy. And I worked for ENOC, the petroleum distribution company here in the UAE. But that was brief for about a year and a half. Then I was recruited to the executive office of Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, who's the ruler of Dubai. Mm-hmm. And there my career started taking a different shape. I focused a lot on public policy, on the strategy of Dubai. As you know, Dubai went through a tremendous growth in that period from the year 2000 to about 2010 when I was there. And it was really challenging and exciting to be a part of that. So I focused on the strategy of Dubai, overall improving the governance and the way the Dubai government works, and then doing a lot of work on developing the talent within the government of Dubai. Mm-hmm. I left in the year 2009, and I started businesses basically alongside these areas that they were my core strength areas. So in International Advisory Group, we advise a lot of government entities on future thinking, on policies, on new and major initiatives and programs. And we also do a lot of work on developing their leadership, understanding the dynamics of public policy, how things change, how nations compete. Mm-hmm. And then I also started Nabil Alyousuf and Associates. It's a company that advises multinationals on public policy and public affairs. So a lot of major companies that come and set up here in the UAE, they need guidance to helping them to understand how the government works, how the government thinks, how to influence decision making, and that's how what I do.
It's
Go
an
ahead.
amazing set of activities, and I see obviously that theme of public affairs and public policy throughout, and certainly working with all of those parties to make sure that we're moving forward. And I we look at Dubai is such a future focused market. I think any person who's ever visited there, you set foot in any building and we all dream to live in a building like the people live in Dubai. So it's a wonderful market, and the work that you're doing is really, really interesting. But let's kind of explore it a little bit more. So tell me how the world of public policy and public affairs is shifting right now.
So because of the major changes or developments in technology, a lot of times public policy officials find it fairly difficult, first of all, to understand the implications of changes. You have things like blockchain, you have data privacy, you have these kind of issues, and the regulators or the public policy officials, first of all, need help in grasping what that means, the implications, and all that. And for the other side of the coin, multinationals like Stripe, Google, and all that, they need someone to guide them through how to influence decision making here and make their presence non-threatening to regulators, and kind of help them work hand in hand together.
The desire is for new concepts, new strategies, new innovations to be pushed forward. However, we find out that the regulatory world really needs to be alongside and support. So, how do you navigate that? Clearly you guys are succeeding because, I think I joked before we started, Nabil, they've launched the Museum of the Future in Dubai. You guys are moving very quickly with a lot of these activities. How do you get regulation forward so quickly?
So the DNA of the country, of the UAE, is such that it wants to move very quickly. It wants to be a leader when it comes to progressive thinking and futuristic thinking. So half of the battle is won that way because there is a willingness to move forward. But then there is always also that reservation of, do I really understand the impact? And for example, how will freedom of data movement affect the security and privacy of our citizens? So the way then to do it is really to help them understand and navigate that through taking different examples from different countries, how they have tackle these situations, what are the best practice in these areas, how can we adapt some of these policies to fit our environment. So that's the main way that usually we approach these things, by understanding how others have done it and what suits us and advising them on that.
Over the last couple of years, we've been living through this this pandemic moment, and I can only imagine that public affairs and public policy has been at the forefront and right in the crosshairs of pretty much every decision, certainly on the medical side of things. And so just be curious to see, as we come out of this, what insights are you seeing? What changes are starting to occur that you've been able to see and able to apply to the way you operate your businesses and approach public policy in general?
A lesson that we learn as a business is to stay agile. It's very important to be able to anticipate changes and work according to them. In terms of public policy and public affairs, if there was a doubt in the past before the pandemic that certain technologies will take over, or we're heading a certain way, these doubts are gone. Right. I mean, it's clear that even if you try to fight certain trends, you just can't, because the whole world is moving and you need to move with it. And so what we're finding here is that it's become easier for example, for us to lobby on behalf of tech companies. For example, when it comes to digital payments, or when it comes to data privacy and data flaws and all that, it becomes easier to argue that, this is an international trend, this is where the world is going, and let's even take advantage of it, because, for example, data, the Economist coined that phrase that data is the new oil. How can we as a country take advantage of that new resource and be at the forefront of data analytics and commercialization of data?
This being a moment where any of the barriers that people had or companies had towards some of these new concepts have evaporated or disappeared. Yes. Right? I love that. I think you're spot on that point. And so, I mean, as we look forward into 2022, do you see that acceleration continuing, or what are the key priorities this year?
So I think governments in general and in our region specifically are focusing a lot on building up the digital economy. Mm-hmm. And that does not mean just encouraging e-commerce and all that, but also building the foundations for the right for the digital economy to grow, whether it's attracting talent or putting the right laws and regulations. Yeah. And all that. And I think that will continue. And that will also spur a lot of innovation and from entrepreneurs here in our part of the world.
If the focus is on digital acceleration, then Dubai continues to be the place to be in the present and in the future. We've been speaking with Dr. Nabil Alyousuf today. It's been amazing to speak to you. He is the chairman of Nabil Alyousuf and Associates, as well as the CEO at the International Advisory Group, Public Policy. He is at the forefront of public affairs and public policy, based in Dubai, and so obviously very, very involved with the activities there. It's been amazing to speak to you, and we can see that you're really kind of getting that blend of policy and government involvement with innovation at the right stage in the right way is absolutely critical. And I absolutely agree with you 100% that we are living in a moment where some of those barriers seem to have fallen by the wayside. Sometimes I joke that that one person that sits on every board that always said no to everything, suddenly everyone's ignoring that guy. Yes. So Nabil, if someone wanted to absolutely right, and so if someone wanted to reach you, Nabil, where should they find you?
Well, through our website, iag.sg, okay. And nabilyusuf.ae. And I can share with you my email.
Well, thank you so much for being on the program today, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you very much, Ben. I really appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you, Ben.